My name's Carrara Finley, 31 years old, an interior designer based in Santa Fe. Last Thanksgiving, I stepped into my parents' dining room after grinding through a 70-hour week. 3 hotel design contracts sat waiting on my desk, and our family's art supply shop was losing money fast. Dad didn't even glance up. "You forgot to update the acrylic inventory," he said. Moments later, Sawyer breezed in radiant after a $3,000 spa weekend, courtesy of our parents. Dad smiled wide. "How's our facial princess?" That was it. I snapped. "So I work non-stop while she gets pampered? Why's that fair?" Dad met my stare without blinking. "Because your job is to work while your sister enjoys her life. Simple as that. Don't like it? There's the door." My chair scraped the floor as I stood. "Fine. I'll leave. You can start paying your own bills. Simple as that. Before I tell you what happened after that, drop a comment with your city and state. I want to know where this hits you." But truthfully, the storm started long before that dinner. Growing up in Santa Fe's dusty art district, favoritism wasn't something I learned, it was something I lived. At 11, I entered the New Mexico Young Designers Challenge, hosted by the state AIA chapter. The task? Create a scaled floor plan for a community art center using only recycled materials. My project won regional honors and hung in the Santa Fe Roundhouse for an entire month. I came home bursting with pride, holding my certificate, expecting maybe a family photo or celebration. Dad skimmed it, set it down, and said, "Good. Now go restock the watercolor pads before dinner." 3 months later, my little sister Sawyer, 8 at the time, finger-painted a sunset in art class. Her teacher sent it to Mom, who framed it and hung copies in both store locations. That night, we went out for enchiladas at our favorite spot on Cirillo's Road. Sawyer got a brand new iPad preloaded with art apps. I got extra chores for distracting the staff with my excitement. Work became my second language early on. By 12, I was restocking acrylic paints before school, scrubbing dried pigment off pallets after dinner, and dragging trash bags twice my size to the dumpster out back. Dad's excuse never changed. "Sawyer's busy with her art. If brushes needed cleaning or shipments came in, it was my job." I even learned to balance a ladder while repainting the store's mural, skills no kid should have. Sawyer's help came as doodles on scrap paper, which Mom laminated and sold as postcards. Customers swooned over her natural talent, buying them by the handful. I watched the register ring while my own sketches sat forgotten in a drawer. Our rooms told the same story. The house sat just behind the store, an old adobe with pine floors that creaked like they were tired too. When we got old enough for our own rooms, Dad turned the old storage shed into mine, bare bulb, cracked concrete, shelves full of forgotten sketchpads. Sawyer got the sunny upstairs corner room with a big arched window overlooking the Cartonwoods. Mom set up a drafting table, installed track lighting, even added a lock to protect her supplies. I got a futon and a milk crate for a nightstand. Weekends meant more hours behind the counter. At 14, I ran the register solo counting change, wrapping delicate brushes, explaining the difference between oils and watercolor sets. Every tip went into a jar labeled college. Dad praised my reliability in front of customers, then turned and handed Sawyer a $100 bill for new markers. She spent it on glitter pens that dried out by the next week. The pattern hardened like oil paint. I organized our annual sidewalk sale, designed window displays that doubled our foot traffic, even taught myself inventory software on a used laptop. Sawyer drifted in occasionally, rearranged a shelf for inspiration, then disappeared to sketch at the plaza. Relatives noticed. Aunt Violet once muttered, "That girl's got 2 left feet and a silver spoon." Mom hushed her immediately. By high school, I practically lived in the back room of the store. I restructured the layout to fit more easels, negotiated bulk discounts with suppliers, and started a loyalty program that boosted repeat customers by 30%. Dad called it good practice. Sawyer's report cards were full of CS, but her charcoal portraits won blue ribbons at the state fair. Each win meant another family outing, green chili cheeseburgers, bowling, whatever she wanted. I learned early, my worth came from what I did. Hers came from what she imagined. The jar filled up, but so did the weight on my shoulders. High school only widened the gap. I juggled 2 part-time jobs while taking a full load of classes, all to chase my dream interior design at Savannah College of Art and Design. Afternoons were spent catering events in the foothills. I'd balance trays of hors d'oeuvres while reviewing floor plans on my phone during breaks. Evenings, I made delivery runs for the store, navigating Santa Fe's narrow streets with boxes of spray paint rattling in the trunk. Every dollar went to application fees, portfolio prints, and the growing stack of acceptance letters I hoped would change everything. Meanwhile, Sawyer coasted. Junior year, Mom and Dad dropped a bombshell, a full year abroad in Florence to nurture her creativity. All expenses paid: tuition, housing, even a shiny red Vespa for exploring the cobblestone streets. They called it an investment in her growth. I called it what it was, a fortune. I did the math: tuition, flights, insurance, and felt the numbers sting. My own SCAD deposit meant another summer of double shifts. Then came the pop-up gallery. Sawyer returned from Italy brimming with ideas for a temporary art space downtown. Dad saw potential. I saw debt. They remortgaged the house to fund a 6-month lease on a Canyon Road storefront, custom lighting, imported display cases, the works. Opening night drew crowds sipping wine, praising Sawyer's vision. Sales started slow, then stopped. After 6 months, the doors shut for good. $20,000 gone. Dad brushed it off as part of the learning curve. While organizing tax files, I found the paperwork. Our mortgage had gone up by $800 a month. Mom said they needed the equity to give Sawyer a real shot. By then, my student loans had already hit $30,000, interest climbing faster than I could pay. Still, I started sending $1,800 home each month from my freelance jobs to help cover the mortgage while chipping away at my own debt. Senior year, the college acceptances rolled in. SCAD offered a partial scholarship, but the gap was still huge. I spent graduation weekend serving cake at a classmate's party instead of walking the stage. Dad texted me, "Proud of you for being responsible." Sawyer filled her feed with snapshots from a post-graduation trip to Tulum, the captions dotted with little paintbrush emojis. During my time at SCAD, I cramped into a tiny dorm room, sketching through the night and taking unpaid internships at local design studios for class credit. Sawyer, on the other hand, had stayed home and signed up for community college, then dropped most of her courses right after the withdrawal date. Mom called it keeping her options open. The store's revenue kept slipping as online sellers undercut our prices, yet Dad kept pouring funds into Sawyer's latest venture, a hand-painted scarf line that never got beyond samples. Meanwhile, my senior thesis, a sustainable art gallery redesign built from reclaimed Adobe scraps, earned top honors. My professors connected me with firms in Atlanta. I graduated with distinction, $45,000 in student loans, and an entry-level offer paying $52,000 a year. Sawyer used my commencement weekend to announce her engagement to a photographer she'd met at a workshop. Mom instantly volunteered to host the engagement party in the store after closing hours. The monthly transfers from my paycheck continued. I convinced myself it was supporting family stability, even while my savings balance hovered near zero. Dad's emails became shorter, each one ending with updates about Sawyer's wedding. I even designed her invitation suite for free, using leftover stock from the shop. The ceremony ran $15,000, charged to the business account I helped reconcile. By last Thanksgiving, the resentment had hardened into something volatile. I'd just spent an all-nighter reworking the store's main showroom for the holiday rush, modular displays for premium oil sets, soft LED lighting on the limited edition pastels, and a new layout to keep Black Friday traffic moving smoothly past the register. At the same time, I finalized 3 hotel renderings for a client in Albuquerque, lobby designs mixing southwestern fabrics with minimalist lines. Each revision was sent off around 2:30 a.m. By morning, I was running on fumes. Still, the smell of roasted turkey gave me a spark of hope when I pulled up to my parents' house. Dad opened the door, balancing a tray of deviled eggs. "You're late," he said. "The new acrylic shipment came in yesterday. Still waiting on an inventory update." That sharp tone, the one that always made the store seem more important than anything else, cut through me. I swallowed my reply and walked toward the dining room, where Mom was spooning cranberry sauce into crystal bowls. Sawyer breezed in fashionably late, draped in a camel coat that screamed designer. She set a glossy shopping bag on the counter and pulled out a white Hermes Kelly bag like it was an Olympic medal. "Look what Mom and Dad surprised me with after my Sedona spa weekend," she announced, holding it up to the light. The spa weekend had been a $3,000 getaway, massages, facials, yoga sessions overlooking Red Rocks, all billed to the family credit card as an early birthday treat. Mom's face glowed with pride. "Your sister deserved it, she just landed that big influencer deal." Sawyer's deal was a sponsored post for a local crystal shop that barely covered her fuel costs. I set down the green bean casserole and felt my voice rise before I could restrain it. "Let me get this straight," I said, keeping my tone calm though my pulse thundered. "I redesigned the entire showroom, manage supplier delays, close six-figure hotel contracts, and Sawyer gets designer bags and spa weekends for posting photos?" Dad placed his fork down with controlled precision. "Your job," he said, "is to work. Your sister's is to enjoy life. Simple as that. If you've got a problem, there's the door." The room froze. Mom's hand stopped midair, the gravy boat trembling slightly. Sawyer hid a smirk behind her wineglass. Something in me cracked clean through. "That door," I said, pushing my chair back, its scrape echoing off the adobe walls. "I'll take it." I grabbed my keys from the hook beside the fridge, the same one still displaying Sawyer's laminated childhood artwork. Behind me, Mom's voice broke as I walked away. "Kara, sweetheart. Sit down. We're grateful, okay? Grateful. Really?" The tears that welled in her eyes looked rehearsed, those same tears she'd used when Sawyer broke curfew. Sawyer rolled her eyes, muttering something about drama queens. Dad's face flushed red. "After everything we've done for you," he shouted as his words chased me down the hallway. But I was already at the front door, my boots crunching over the pine needles that had fallen from the porch wreath. Cold November air slapped against my skin as I slid into the car, the engine roaring to life loud enough to drown out Mom's final plea. 20 minutes later, I pulled into Drake Owen's apartment complex on the south side, hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. Drake, my boyfriend of 2 years, answered in sweatpants, concern softening his features. He didn't press for answers. He just wrapped his arms around me, handed over a mug of chamomile, and let the silence hold us until I could breathe again. The turkey went cold on their table that night. I didn't look back. 2 days later, the fallout began. An email from the bank's loan servicing department arrived first, a formal notice of intent to foreclose if the overdue mortgage wasn't brought current within 30 days. The attached PDF spelled out 3 missed payments totaling just over $5,000, plus late fees. Dad had never mentioned being behind, but the remortgage after Sawyer's failed gallery had already stretched them to the breaking point. I forwarded the notice to a private folder without replying, then revoked the store's accounting access from my laptop. By the end of that first week, the store had lost its annual contract with the Santa Fe Public Schools art program. The district buyer called me directly, since I'd always handled invoicing, to explain they couldn't renew without updated purchase orders and inventory proof. That deal had been worth $12,000 in bulk watercolor kits and easels. Dad left a voicemail blaming supply chain delays, but the truth sat in a pile of unpaid vendor bills on his desk. Meanwhile, Sawyer's influencer gigs dried up almost instantly. Her last sponsored post for a boutique candle brand barely scraped 500 likes before the company pulled out of their upcoming collaboration. With no money coming in and rent due on her downtown loft, she stuffed her designer luggage into her leased SUV and moved back into the basement. Mom texted me a photo of Sawyer's old twin bed freshly made, a heart emoji beneath it. I didn't respond. The calls began that afternoon and didn't stop for weeks. 47 in total, according to my log. Dad's first voicemail came at 8:30 a.m. "You think walking out solves anything? Get back here and fix the books before we lose everything." His voice climbed with each sentence before ending in a sharp click. Mom followed an hour later, softer but steeped in guilt, "My back's flaring up again. I can't lift the shipment boxes without you. Please, call me. By evening, Sawyer chimed in, "Hey, sis, things are rough, but I've got this idea, pop-up paint and sip nights. Need 10 grand for the venue and supplies. You're the numbers whiz. Wire it over, I'll pay you back with interest once it takes off." I deleted her voice note and blocked her number, for now. Drake watched as the notifications stacked up while we cooked pasta. He suggested setting my phone to silent, but I kept it on vibrate, just enough to feel that constant hum against my leg, like a low, persistent ache. Then came Dad's texts, screenshots of overdue utility bills, a picture of the empty register drawer. Mom sent links to articles about adult children abandoning their parents. Sawyer tried reaching Drake's phone next, leaving a breezy voicemail about family investors and how I was overreacting. 3 weeks in, the store's main supplier finally cut them off, no more shipments of Golden paints or Fredericks canvases until their $9,000 balance was cleared. Dad applied for a short-term loan but got denied. His credit score had tanked below 600 after the gallery mess. He left another message, this time quiet. "The lights stay on because of your spreadsheets. Please, fix this." Mom texted proof of her doctor's appointment for her back. Diagnosis: degenerative disc disease. Manageable, but only with therapy she couldn't afford, not without insurance coparis. Sawyer had uploaded a post from the basement. Muted lighting, paint-streaked overalls. The caption read, "Back to basics." Old classmates from high school chimed in beneath, asking if the shop was hiring. Most evenings, I sat with Drake going over my own finances. Emergency savings steady, hotel projects running smoothly. My silence said more than any confrontation ever could. A month into that quiet, Aunt Violet arrived without warning. She'd taken a red-eye from Tucson. Still clutching the rental car keys when she knocked on my apartment door mid-morning. Mom's sister by 5 years. She came holding a thick manila envelope, stamped with IRS letterhead. We settled at my kitchen table over coffee, and without a word, she slid the papers across the wood. The notice outlined a $50,000 shortfall from the gallery business 3 years back. Dad had overstated deductions, framing supplies, event rentals, and marketing costs, listing them as expenses that never turned into actual revenue. The audit caught inconsistencies between the reported losses and real bank deposits, adding penalties and interest on top. Aunt Violet explained she'd been sent a courtesy copy because Mom had once named her as a secondary contact on their tax forms. "They're drowning," she said, tapping the last page. "The bank records show the mortgage is eating up 80% of the store's income. Without your monthly help, they're 2 payments away from default." That same afternoon, Dad called the store's landline. His first time reaching out in weeks. His voice cracked through the receiver. "Violet said she saw you. We're not asking for money. Just come back for a month. Help us fix the books. Get us through tax season." The accountant we hired messed everything up. Mom's voice joined faintly on speaker. Her breathing strained. "Your aunt agrees, it's only temporary. We'll pay you consultant rates once our cash flow steadies," they promised. From the background, Sawyer added that I could always log in a few hours remotely each week. Their voices layered over one another like thick brushstrokes, one plea trying to conceal the last. I let them talk until there was nothing left to say, then ended the call with a quiet no. Drake stood by the doorway, arms folded, silent until the dial tone hummed. That night, I opened my work email and drafted a message titled "Formal Notice of Financial Separation." The note outlined the termination of all financial assistance, revoked access to shared accounts, and requested no future contact about business matters. I attached a PDF of the bank's confirmation and sent it to Mom, Dad, and the store's main inbox. A few hours later, Sawyer left a voicemail on Drake's phone suggesting a collaboration, an online watercolor course. He played it aloud while we ate takeout burritos, then deleted it without comment. Aunt Violet joined us for dinner, reminiscing about Mom's failed craft fair ventures in the 80s, patterns I knew too well. Before heading back to her hotel, she pulled me into a firm hug. "You're not their ATM," she said. They'll figure it out, or they won't. I walked her to the elevator, the envelope tucked under my arm like a piece of evidence. By morning, I switched to a new phone plan, new number, work contacts only. Dad's last text came just before the change, a photo of the empty invoice drawer captioned, "This is on you." I blocked the thread and powered down the SIM card. Peace arrived in slow layers, the